Hi there. My name's Lee Thurburn, and you're on an episode of Live Stream Lee. Welcome. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, and we have one reason, one purpose for doing what we do, and it is the following: to help you grow faster, to earn more, and retire richer. Live Stream Lee is a way that I can provide some guidance and help to entrepreneurs and small business owners that'll help you grow faster. Why should you listen to me? That's always a great question to ask, isn't it? Yeah, because it's an important question to know the answer to. I've taken a company public. I teach entrepreneurship and small business management at UT Arlington, and I teach strategy. It's a class that all students have to take to graduate. So I've had some success, and I've also had the opportunity to provide some guidance to people. I've been a consultant and have had several businesses. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So what I share with you is time-tested and proven information about how to grow your business. This isn't 20th century information. This is 21st century information. Go to livestreamlee.com and create an account. When you do, you're going to get an account on Apricot Rocket. Apricot Rocket is a digital marketing platform designed specifically to help you grow your business faster and to earn more money. When you use the community building and relationship nurturing tools that Apricot Rocket provides, you will end up with more revenue, better quality clients, and better relationships, which will lead to a more valuable business when you do get to the point that you decide you want to retire. So I invite you to go create an account. In addition, you'll also get to be part of the Live Stream Lee community and have access to documents and business plans and all kinds of stuff that we cover on this live stream. All right, before I get started, I want to share something with you that I really enjoy. And I'm a bit of a history buff. If you've tuned in before, you know that there's a guy named Dan Nelson who's a genealogist, and he's also a history buff, partly because he just loves it, but partly because he digs into it every day. And he publishes a newsletter twice a month, or at least every couple of weeks. And Dan's newsletters are always extremely interesting to read. They're great little tidbits if you like to do trivial pursuits with people. But it's just really interesting information about the history of the United States and just history in general. Go to livestreamlee.com, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see a link, a button that says Dan Nelson Genealogy. Click there, go to Dan's website, and if you'd like, sign up and get onto his newsletter. You can always quit, but I think you will find it to be one of the most interesting reads that you get every couple of weeks. I know I enjoy it, and I think you will too. I also want to mention that Friday of this week, we have a really great guest. All of our guests are great, but they haven't all written a book like Kent Billingsley has. Kent Billingsley has written a book called Entrepreneur to Millionaire. Mark Cuban says, literally, it's a must read. I will tell you, I put it right up there in the ranks of books like The E-Myth and The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It is one of those sort of cornerstone books, foundational books that I think all entrepreneurs and small business owners should read because it is just crammed full of good information. We're going to talk to Kent about his book, and we're going to have a great conversation about, a variety of things. And then tomorrow, we're also going to have a guest expert on the show, a guy named Tom Meyer. We're going to be talking about the subject of what's stopping you. What's stopping you from growing a big company? Almost everybody, when they start a company, has dreams and hopes and, maybe fantasies, but certainly hopes that company will grow to be big. But unfortunately, the majority of people don't. So we're going to be talking about what stops people from realizing their dreams. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock when we unpack the subject and then talk with Tom Meyer, who is a Navy veteran, used to be a sub guy, one of the really smart ones that are on subs. And Tom has had an illustrious career since then as a coach and has helped many companies become successful. So it should be a fun conversation. But today, we're going to talk more about marketing. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started by opening up the PowerPoint from the point that I stopped last time. And we're just going to go through and talk about this. So last time I talked about marketing, we actually were talking about the first things first. And I had gotten a little bit ahead of myself and talked about the first step, the most important process or step in the process of marketing, which is to build awareness. I said the most important step. You know, there's other things you have to do, but when you actually delve into the marketing, you start with advertising to build awareness. People can't do business with you unless they know that you exist, and so building awareness is a critical first step in your marketing. And there are basically two sort of sets of media. What I think of as 20th century and 21st century media. Now, 20th century media is stuff like you see on screen here: television, radio, print media. Most of the things that you would think of as 20th century media are single directional, meaning that the advertiser puts an advertisement in front of you, usually in an interruptive way, a commercial on a television program, a commercial on a radio program, an advertisement as you're flipping through a magazine or reading an article, interrupting you when by sending you something in your mail. These are all interruptive, single directional marketing message delivery media. And with the exception of exhibits and expos, which do have, of course, interactivity, they basically are non-interactive. When you look at the 21st century digital media, you end up basically recognizing that these are media that have bidirectionality. They have interactivity involved in them. Now, that's not the only thing. In fact, that was the most important thing at the beginning of this century, is the fact that this was a new world. The whole concept of having an interactive media, aside from a telephone, which telephones, of course, have always been bidirectional and interactive. But aside from that, the internet opened up the whole world of stuff that you see here on screen. And probably you've used some or all of these tools: email marketing and websites and social media and advertising using pay-per-click and banners and video marketing. One of the newer things, now it's not that it's brand new, but certainly in the last 10 years, you've seen a proliferation of both podcasts and live streaming. Live streaming really began to kick in, importantly, about 5 years ago, with Facebook opening up a live stream channel and it becoming easier to do live streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn and some of the other platforms that are out there. Until extremely recently, live streaming has been somewhat of a technologically challenging task to take on. But what's important to note here is that with live streams and podcasts and video marketing in general, which don't have to be live, with these technologies, you literally have the kind of marketing power as an individual business owner. You have the kind of marketing power that used to be reserved only for the largest media corporations in the world, companies like ABC and NBC and CNN and so on. Now, because of the proliferation of cell phone technology, where you can get videos and take videos and all that kind of stuff, and the fact that over 2 billion people in the world have a cell phone that can accept a video or can surf on the internet and find a video, you actually have the ability to communicate to more people than 40 years ago or even 30 years ago. Any but the largest companies on the planet had the ability to. Now it's all a matter of, do you have a message that can capture the attention of an audience? Is your message compelling and entertaining? And bottom line is, do you have something worth saying that people want to listen to? You might have something worth saying and people don't want to listen to it. but unfortunately, that's going to always be the case. So digital media and bidirectionality are important things. But when you look at the primary differences between 20th and 21st century marketing, the old traditional technologies and the newer technologies, there are really two things that really stand out. And of course, interactivity is one of them. But authenticity has also become, in the last 5 to 10 years, an incredibly important component of your messaging and marketing. People are tired of having marketing just simply thrown at them. And so they're looking for messages and people and companies that have a level of authenticity that they can relate to, and that the messages are being genuinely delivered. So what does that mean? Well, to some degree, that means that you can almost over polish your marketing. You can almost over slick it. Bottom line is having a little bit of a stutter, having a little bit of imperfection, having some humanness come through that shows that you're just a regular company, a regular person trying to communicate a message. That actually goes a long ways towards people accepting your message. I mean, simple things like unpacking videos get an incredible amount of visibility on YouTube and other channels. It's amazing if you've not tuned in to TikTok. I actually have become extremely amazed and enamored by the variety of creative content on TikTok. And advertisers are figuring out how to use that media just like they have other media, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and so on. They're figuring out how to use new media. And the common thread of almost all video type of marketing, which is really, really powerful, is authenticity and entertainment. Making something creative and different. In fact, that's part of what we want to talk about next, which is the concept of guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing can be defined as unconventional, low-cost, creative ways of marketing techniques where you can, where small companies on small budgets can compete with much larger companies with much bigger budgets. Guerrilla marketing success does not require that you have large amounts of money, just that you have a unique and creative approach to getting your message told, to explaining what you want to explain. Now, there's a myth related to guerrilla marketing that it's free and that it's easy, and that somehow there's a magic formula out there that you just need to figure out. And that's actually not really completely true. All marketing, including guerrilla marketing, has a cost in terms of time and money, and usually both. I can give you an example of a friend of mine that has a business where he places caddies in professional and semi-professional, actually the pro-ams, typically when a big event comes or some big corporation has a golf tournament for fundraising or for charity or just for client appreciation. When you need to get a caddy that's a semi-professional, somebody that actually knows the rules and knows how to caddy according to the PGA caddy guidelines. Well, how do you round these people up? Well, he has a company that does that. And to get exposure to his company, he built a driver that was about, 12 feet long. And he took the camera out and set it up on a tee. And he, practiced hitting the ball and until he actually got one of the connections. I mean, that thing was pretty wobbly, but he got one video that was perfect, not on, where he hit that ball, and with a 12-foot shaft, you can imagine it had quite a bit of power to it. I think it knocked it into the next county. But my point is that video got a lot of views and helped establish some visibility for his company. Now, it didn't solve the marketing awareness problem, but it helped. It was something that he was able to do in a creative fashion. If you go out onto YouTube and just search for guerrilla marketing videos or guerrilla marketing examples, you're going to find tons of them. And those things would be a good way for you to get some ideas. But guerrilla marketing is really, bottom line, boils down to being creative ways of getting your message out. So what are some of the other things that you can think of when you think of guerrilla marketing principles? Probably the most important guerrilla marketing principle is to find a niche that's not really being filled or being filled well, and focus your attention on filling that niche extremely well. In fact, this is the most common when you think of business strategies, and we've had a whole topic, a whole episode on strategies, in fact, more than one. One of the most important strategies is the niche focus strategy. And that's the single most effective way for small businesses to gain a foothold in the market, to be able to grow their way into greater significance in a broader market. And so probably nothing is more important for a small company that is struggling to get started, maybe doesn't have a tremendous amount of funding, is to find a niche and then fill that niche better than anybody else. Now, some other guerrilla marketing principles and techniques, if you will, are to use the power of publicity. There's a guy that's well known here in Dallas, Jeff Curley, that has a company that is focused pretty much entirely on utilizing the power of PR and publicity tools to be able to grow businesses. And his focus is literally to help companies identify stories about their products and services that can be packaged for a variety of media and not so much sold, but used as a tool to be able to make the media writer a specialist in a media like television or print or something like that, to be able to say, wow, this is an interesting story. I'm going to tell this story on my media. So publicity is powerful. And as with all things, and I've already kind of touched on this, you want to make sure that to the greatest extent possible, the story that you tell is entertaining. And you might call it entertainment retelling or entertaining. I mean, you can put all kinds of crazy words on it, but the point is the importance of telling an entertaining story is critical in today's ADD world. I mean, with TikTok, as an example, you can, you pull up a video and you watch it for 10 to 30 to 60 seconds and you flick to the next one. And if you can't capture somebody's attention in 5 to 10 seconds, if you get off to too slow of a start, you run the risk of people just going, well, that's boring, and moving on. So my point is, that's the kind of attention span that the media is training people to have. It used to be with Google, and still largely is, that Google trained us to have low attention spans. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why we generally, as a population, probably have trouble focusing for long periods of time, is because of the way Google and the internet has worked. There's so much content being thrown at us. We've had to become very, very quick at deciding whether or not the content we're looking at is something that we want to continue to look at. And so these media that force you to, not force you, but make it easy for you to move on, are basically teaching us, training us, like Pavlov's dogs. They're training us to have very short attention spans. Well, whether that's socially desirable or not doesn't matter. As a marketer, as a business, you have to realize that about the audience that you're reaching now, especially if you're reaching a consumer audience and you're doing it through a digital media. Make sure that your content is entertaining and quickly sets a hook and grabs people to make them want to watch the rest of it, to get to the punchline or the call to action, whatever you want to call it. The next thing is to be unique. Differentiate yourself. Give people, in addition to something entertaining, give people a unique value proposition about your business, a unique selling point about your business. And this kind of dovetails into the next bullet point here, which is unique selling propositions, USP. It also kind of relates to the value proposition, the unique value, or exceptional value proposition that's going to cause people to want what you have. But you have to have a unique selling position, and you have to have a unique value proposition, a powerful value proposition. So these are all things that are part of effective guerrilla marketing. Let's talk a little bit more about the unique selling proposition, because this is a really important thing. Now, we've talked about previously your competitive advantage in the marketplace. And your unique selling proposition is basically how you talk about that, that unique competitive advantage that you've got, but you talk about it in terms that emotionally connect to the customer that you're after. So, people always buy on the basis of what they want, not what they need. There might be a stage in the process where, and almost always there is a stage in the process where there's an evaluation of the options that are out there, and they look at yours versus the others. But that's a stage where people are converting what they need into what they want. And the important point here is that people buy what they want, not what they need. So the faster you can make that transition occur in their mind so that they realize that not only do they need what you have, they want what you have. The sooner you can get them to do that, the faster your sales cycle goes, and the more money you're going to make. So the important thing is to remember that people, everybody, you and me, anybody, everybody, we all listen to the same radio station, and it's called WIIFM. What's in it for me? Talk to me about my benefits. Talk to me about my benefits that I'm going to gain from using your product. Talk to me in emotional terms that I'm going to resonate with, that's going to resonate with me. And this kind of circles back around to one of the most fundamental prospects aspects of the whole marketing sort of paradigm, which is you have to have crystal clarity about several things. And I talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to hit on it constantly because it's so critically central to successful marketing. You have to have crystal clarity on what problem you solve and who has that problem. What problem do you solve and who has that problem? When I say crystal clarity, what I mean is you have to understand the person or the people, the group, the business that has that problem, what motivates them to listen to your message, to tune in. Because everybody is hit with like 5,000 messages, 5,000 impressions a day or more. Some estimates go up to 25,000. When we have that many marketing impressions being thrown at us on a daily basis, we become extremely quick to completely filter out anything that isn't relevant to what we're really currently wanting. And so radio station WIIFM means that your message, your unique selling proposition has to be laser focused on my particular need and how I'm emotionally going to respond or want to have that need fit or filled. And then your message is going to have to trigger a recognition in me that you might have the solution I'm looking for. So that's the whole concept of the unique selling proposition. And for any given product or service, if you have different categories or classes of clients, you're going to have different categories or classes of unique selling propositions that you have to develop. You have to laser focus the message that you have to the audience that you're trying to reach, the segment of the audience that you're trying to reach. So even though you may have 3 products, you don't just have 3 services. You don't just have 3 unique selling propositions. You have a unique selling proposition for each segment of your market that buys each of those products. Okay, so also communicate your unique selling proposition often. The next thing, I'm just going to kind of go through a list of other things that relate to this concept of guerrilla marketing. You want to create an identity for your business through branding, and branding is not a simple thing. There's a lot of different sort of components to the concept of branding. Now, an easy way to explain branding is to say Disney, to say McDonald's. And when I say Disney and I say McDonald's, several things go into your minds. When I say Disney, you probably see the mouse with the big ears, and then you think Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and maybe Marvel Comics and Star Wars, because they're all part of the Disney property group. When I say McDonald's, you think golden arches, you think billions and billions, you think clean restrooms and a safe, family-friendly place with food that is predictable. I mean, maybe that's the nicest thing that we can say. The food is predictable. But each one of these brands has promises that come along with it. With Disney, you generally think of family safe entertainment. With McDonald's, you generally think of a family safe place to stop when you're on a long road trip in an unknown part of the country. It's late at night and you need to take a rest stop before you go any further, right? So where do you want to stop? Well, you want to stop somewhere that's safe for your family. Where do you want your kids to watch shows? You can generally trust Disney programming. So these are the kinds of things that brands imply. Well, Disney and McDonald's have spent billions of dollars over dozens of decades or multiple decades establishing this brand that they have. And one of the ways they establish a brand is through consistent delivery of messages that are on target with the audience and the motivations, the emotional response motivators of the audience that they're after. So you need to think very carefully about everything from the imagery to the messaging, to the nuances of how they work together, and think about the consistency of the reinforcement of the brand that you're wanting to project and how your audience that you're wanting to attract will resonate with that. And then you do things like using social network media. You use blogs and videos to put forth that message along with a call to action. We're going to talk about more of this stuff later. Some other things that you can do, and again, we're going to hit this from multiple angles, but other things that you can do is you can create videos. We've already kind of talked about that. You can host special events, but you always want to focus on the customer and the customer's satisfaction, because customers that are not happy with the quality and the service that they received, the value that they receive, you certainly don't want them being unhappy and spreading unhappiness. You want them to be happy and spreading happiness, right? And so you always have to have a customer service orientation and try to constantly deliver high satisfaction to your customers. It's way easier to retain existing customers than it is to go out and get new ones. So being devoted to quality and paying attention to your customers' experience and the convenience that you're able to deliver to them is critical. Okay, so there's a lot more to unpack. In fact, we're going to do this all next week. We're going to continue the conversation on marketing because there's just so much. And a lot of our future episodes will be deeper dives into specific aspects of marketing, like we'll talk about videos and podcasting and live streaming and things like that. Give you some tips, talk about technologies, talk about how you get started in it. But the fundamentals of guerrilla marketing apply to all small businesses, and even big businesses that want to grow bigger can benefit from understanding and applying the principles of guerrilla marketing. So I'm going to pop out of the slide deck and come back over and talk about something else that is near and dear to me. I can't tell you over my many years of business how many times I've seen, I think of it sometimes as Murphy's Law, and that is something's going to pop up, something that's unexpected, and it's going to grab you and it's going to give you a rough time. And it doesn't even matter really how much experience you have in your industry. There's always things that can come up that'll surprise you. It's the gotcha factor. It's the what you don't know that you don't know factor. And I have a guy that knows a lot that I don't know that I call upon, because it's great to have people like Carlos Cantu that are in the risk management business to help me think about the business opportunities and deals that I'm in, and make sure when I chat with Carlos, I ask him to help me think about the risk in a fashion that I don't normally think. I ask him I talk about ideas and I get his feedback, and he comes up with some great stuff. And so I want to introduce you to Carlos and invite you to go to livestreamly.com. And on the right-hand side of the website, you'll see a button that says Carlos Cantu. And if you'll click on that, you can get in touch with Carlos, learn more about him, set up a time to visit with him. He's a great guy, and he'll be glad to visit with you and kind of, hear what your business is and talk about your risks. And, and if you're good to go, he'll tell you you're good to go. And if maybe you're not, then he'll give you some options. So have Carlos in your corner. He'll help you look out for your business. All right. Thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate your time. And again, want to just put in another plug for livestreamly.com. Go there, click on the Join My Community link when you get there, because our goal is to help you grow faster, earn more, and retire richer. Okay. See you tomorrow with a conversation on what's stopping you with Tom Meyer. See you tomorrow. Bye.